All right, and you are now watching Juke Boys Sports Show. I am your host, King Ralph, here with the homies Tar, Joe. How y'all feeling, y'all?
Hey, how y'all doing?
It's a pleasure to talk sports with you fellas. I'm excited.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But
Thank
before
you
we
for
get,
having us.
no problem, G. Thanks for coming on. And Tar, thanks for getting on here short notice.
Oh,
Buddy.
absolutely, no problem, bro. Anytime.
Shout out to my co-host Kai. Couldn't make it this time, but he'll be here next week. But send a shout out to the sponsors. If you want to shoot any podcast, music videos, photo shoots, just call the number at the bottom of the screen. They had two really big green screens. One of them I use for my typical podcast, but we shoot from the cribby today. Just call 707 Fitboxer. And before we get into the topics, man, I'm gonna give y'all an opportunity to talk about y'all platforms. Tar, you said you represent East West.
Yep, East West football.
Football
Camera's kind of awkward, you know what I'm saying? But we gonna delete that out of the episode. But no, East West Football Network. I'm the fantasy football analyst. Every Tuesday, you can catch my show, Fantasy Football GMs. I'm with my guy Isaac Durham. Shout out to you, Isaac. If you ever need fantasy football waiver wire advice, we can pick up startup sit-ems. Tune into our show. That's basically it.
Okay. And then, hey Joe, yours is on the board. Are you specifically talking about hockey or?
Oh no. So it's on the board. Sports Talk. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook. We're available on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcast, Breaker. We pretty much cover all four major sports. During hockey season, it's a lot of hockey. During football season, it's a lot of football. Obviously, Right now, not a ton as of yesterday there is, but prior to yesterday, not a lot of basketball stuff going on. So we touch on the big points of everything across the four major sports. So if you want to talk about it, we're talking about it. I'm into it.
For sure. I like to hear. Well, just wrapped up week 3. Some wild stories and some wild things happen, and I think that's why they say any given Sunday, because
no kidding,
66 yards, bro. Like him and Janikowski are the only two kids I can think of that I would go buy their jersey,
bro. But you know what was crazy? There was a bunch of record-breaking things. The Jaguars had that return, 109 yards. There was that. I don't want to say Justin Fields had a stat for all the worst reasons in the world. Have the worst quarterback percentage. So there was a lot of records, field goals. So week 3 it was a memorable week for sure.
That was a wild one. Yeah. That was
very true. So whoever want to go first, jump in. But what are your 3 takeaways?
Go right ahead.
From week 3.
Okay, so my 3 takeaways. Number 1, I think that Derek Carr put some respect on his name. I feel like he's an MVP candidate, silent MVP candidate. He's somebody that not a lot of people are talking about when it comes to MVP quarter. But you look at some of the MVP candidates so far. Last week Kyler Murray didn't have a great week against the Jaguars.
It's true.
Brady didn't have a great week last week. So these are some of the guys, and each and every week Derek Carr has been having consistent weeks. So I think that there should be a little bit more respect on his name as far as MVP candidate is concerned, especially if the Raiders continue to win. My second takeaway is I mentioned earlier with Justin Fields, somebody got to do something with Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy is terrible. Something has to be done with Matt Nagy. I wouldn't have allowed him to jump on that plane afterwards, because it wasn't like it's easy to blame Justin Fields, but you got to call that man some rollouts. You got to use his running ability just a little bit. They just had him in the stationary getting sacked. It was horrible. And my third takeaway is the Rams are serious Super Bowl contenders.
I've been saying that since week 1. I talk about it every week on my podcast. The Rams are for real.
Yep.
Stafford's finally got a chance to really win something here. I absolutely agree with that. That's a hot take. I like that.
Yeah, Rams are the serious Super Bowl contenders. They beat the Bucks. My hot take from the beginning, I actually picked the Cardinals, but whoever comes out of that NFC West, I think will be the Super Bowl champ, because they have all the intangibles to beat Tampa Bay, and they proved it, just this upcoming Sunday. They have the weapons, they got the pass rush, so those are my 3 hot takes.
Rams look lethal. That's a fantastic take. Yeah, and I agree with what you said about Carr too. The deep balls and the exciting plays, that's good TV, that's good sports, that's good entertainment. But consistently leading your team through adversity from the quarterback position, that's crucial, absolutely crucial. And you're right, he's doing it every week. I was there. I watched him beat my Ravens, with grit and determination and leadership. I was 80 feet away. I could hear that dude yelling. Hey, Derek Carr's for real this year.
Yes, sir.
He's absolutely for real this year. Being a fan of an AFC team, I don't like it, but it's for real, man. He's a real deal this year. He's playing lights out.
True. That's very true.
I think another good take from this week is the Steelers, 2 in a row.
Ooh.
After a rough ending to the season last year, they won it, but following the game against Baltimore, no Lamar, and then every subsequent game that they've played since then, they just haven't looked. They haven't looked like the 11-0 Steelers of yesterday.
Ben looks pathetic. Ben looks
bad. Ben looks bad.
Ben is done.
Yeah.
I think that's what's holding them back is Ben, essentially.
Oh, yes.
Ben and an offensive line. This newly shifted O-line that they've got, I don't know. I don't know what's going on in Pittsburgh. It's not good.
It's mediocre at best.
Absolutely.
And then,
who
want to jump in? I think is it me or is it or
you could go.
That's you, yeah.
All right. First off, I know you just said this, but if you go back and watch the tape don't lie. I picked the Rams to get to the Super Bowl. So I think that this right here, to piggyback on what you were saying, and I bring up something I've said before, is that I think the thing that was holding the Rams offense and Sean McVay's play calling back is Jared Goff's arm and the ability to throw that deep ball. So it's that play, I want to say he's throwing it off his back foot and he's throwing, the ball traveled 50 yards and maybe over 50 yards to get to D-Jack for that deep ball.
Yeah.
And so it's to have an arm like that with the creativity. Yes. Yeah. Like the creativity that Sean McVay's play calling has. I just think that plus that defense, you have arguably the best corner in football, and then you have maybe the best football player in football on the line.
Aaron Donald.
And so it's to have those two with the pieces that they have, and then what Matthew Stafford brings to the table with what they already had.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just bro, it's the sky's the limit for them. Although I do think during the season, the Cardinals are going to win the division, but the Rams are going to win. And if they were to play in the playoffs or whatever happens in the playoffs, I got the Rams going to the Super Bowl.
I like the Rams all the way through it. I absolutely agree, and I agree heavily with your statements about Goff. His inability with the deep ball compared to a Matthew Stafford, and his vision, the way he sees the field. You saw it Sunday in that game. They came alive. The Lions came alive in the second half, but Goff struggled the first half of that game just reading the field, and he did that a lot.
Right.
And
right.
Stafford doesn't have that problem, man. His vision is – I really believe Stafford is he's elevated everything about his game by surrounding himself with a better team.
The thing about Jared Goff as well, right? When he took that team to the Super Bowl, they relied a lot heavy on a running game, right?
Yeah.
He's a quarterback that needs a consistent running game, and C.J. Anderson. He's a guy that he needs a strong running game, where Matthew Stafford hasn't had a 1,000-yard rusher since Reggie Bush in 2012, which is horrible. Probably further back than that. But his last 1,000-yard rusher so he's not used to having a 1,000-yard rusher. So he's a guy that is built to throw the ball like that. Where Jared Goff's not. He needs a running game. And last year the Rams couldn't have they couldn't find or produce a consistent run game because of injuries. Stubbles at offensive line, things of that nature. So I think that's what added to Jared Goff's struggle. It's not that he's a bad quarterback, but the Lions currently right now, the reason why he's having slight success is because, Jamal Williams, you got DeAndre Swift, so you can run the ball a little bit more. He's a guy that needs to run the ball and have play action to be successful, which with Matthew Stafford, he doesn't need that. I'm gonna just throw the ball 40 times and complete 300 yards and 4 touchdowns.
I'm gonna complete 30 of them. Yeah.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, that's the fit in itself right there.
It's a perfect fit. Absolutely.
Yeah. Real quick though. Let me ask y'all a question really quick. How do y'all feel about the Tampa Bay Tom Brady going back to New England this weekend?
I'm gonna watch it. I'm definitely gonna watch it. I think Tampa Bay smacks him.
Yeah. I think he gonna go all in on him.
I'm curious to see if Gronk plays, because then that's another storyline within itself if Gronk plays. Gronk is injured right now, but there's no way Gronk does not play that game though. So the storylines are just there, so I'm looking forward to that. Like it's like when Brett Favre, went back to Lambeau for the first time. Like, it's just that built-in storyline. So I'm excited to see that for sure.
Isn't Brady within a ridiculously close amount of yardage to break the time? Yeah. Could do it at Foxborough.
No, yeah, and that's the narrative too, right there. If he breaks that in Foxborough, it's like
that's wild.
Yeah, that storyline is just it writes itself. It's some Disney stuff.
Oh my god.
So yeah, that's the storyline I'm looking toward for week 4 if we're gonna foreshadow it. But I just wanted to get you guys' feelings on that. But go ahead, Ralph. Finish what you were saying.
And then we talked about this, Tar, in the group chat. Jalen Hurts is not the answer.
It hurts to watch him throw.
And I was rooting for him. Like, I felt like Tyra Banks. Like, I was rooting for you. And like, but the tape don't lie, y'all. Like, he's very inaccurate. Maybe he can grow to be with more time, but he's just not the answer right now. And me personally, and I don't even try to argue with Eagles fans when it comes to this conversation, but like, I don't think they have as many weapons as people try to say. Like, on paper, yes, but it's like the people just aren't projecting. And that was before Jalen Hurts got there. So, like, I don't think that, like, some of it is his fault. He got to get better. But I think, like, at this point, he's going to end up being like a Tyrod Taylor type.
But, like, my thing with Jalen Hurts, though, if you couldn't get it done in Alabama, you're not getting it done anywhere. Because Alabama, he had nothing but number 1 first-round wide receivers. We've seen Mac Jones eat. We've seen, Tua Tagovailoa eat. He's the only quarterback that did not eat with them. Like, we've seen Bryce Sims eat. We've seen dudes that didn't even make it to the NFL eat. Jake Coker ate. Jake Coker ate in Alabama. So he's like the one quarterback that just was not successful at Alabama. And taking it from there, it's like the reason why I'd say the weapons thing I don't agree with the Eagles is because they built the team like Oklahoma, speed. And he can't even complete a 5-yard out route. He's overthrowing out routes. So it's I don't. I was never a Jalen Hurts fan, so it's like,
I was rooting for him just because, like,
I root for him, but it's just like,
Prior to that, I was like, you never saw quarterbacks with dreads at Alabama. So, like, I just was rooting for him just straight off the rip.
He threw a pass to Rieger last night.
Yeah.
That it was like maybe a 15-yard out. And the way that it looked, I just watched it on a glance. It looked like a real nice lead pass, real high over the defender. And I was like, damn, that was a good pass. And then I watched the replay, and I'm like, oh, no, he overthrew him. And he just caught up to it and made the play. And he doesn't look comfortable. In the pocket, out of the pocket, he doesn't look comfortable.
I'm going to tell you what it is. His windup is extremely slow. And when you throw it's like what Jameis Winston used to do, It's Byron Leftwich used to throw like that. It's like when you throw it like that,
windup was so slow, bro. It was like a catapult.
Yeah, he needs to work with a refined quarterback. Kaepernick's windup was like that. When they struggle with certain type of ball placements when your windup is like that, because your windup and your feet don't match.
Right.
They need to go talk to Jordan Palmer. He'll get you right.
Right. You know what I'm saying? But
I don't even know that many quarterback coaches. I just know that he was one of them, and that everybody keep going to.
I feel like Dan Orlowski right now breaking down quarterbacks. This is
bro. Get him off TV, please. Can y'all please? If I never had to see him on TV again, I'd be cool with it.
Oh man, but yeah,
his takes be something else, man.
Yeah. Third takeaway.
I'm trying to think because it was something else you said that was one of mine as well. So I was like, damn.
I feel like it would be Derek Carr because we're kind of Raider brethren.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm starting to.
I said both of yours Bears too, bro. Like,
yeah,
as a Chicago native,
bring that up because I was
as a Chicago native, I know that's painful.
1 yard of net offense, like, come on, y'all. And you have Justin Fields, like, don't. And then the media is like, see, this why they wasn't supposed to start him, and I'm like, like that's not his fault.
You know who the happiest person is right now, though? Mitchell Trubisky.
Oh,
he's like, see, like, I'm gone and look, like, like he's the happiest person ever right now. Yeah,
it's not all my fault.
I didn't think that Mitch was that bad because, like, he had a pretty successful rookie season. That was when Cody Parker missed a field goal.
Yeah. Because they stopped running the damn football. That's what it was. They stopped running the football. You got David Montgomery. You don't use him. Like, you just don't run the football.
Bro,
you don't run the football. Like,
yeah, that's pretty crazy.
He doesn't run the football. Like, dude only had, 9-8 carries? Like, you don't run the football.
Yeah.
Like, what the?
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, shoot. So the other day I was watching, I want to say, the No Chill Guild podcast, and it was, I don't remember who he was on there with, but he started talking about, like, he started breaking down like why players today are more skilled than players back in the day. So like it got me thinking, like, in y'all personal opinion, if you make like the rules the same, do you think that, or like the mentality is the same? Let's make it even playing field, because back in the day, people will say like, "Oh, well, this person shot this many threes." Where I think that some people could shoot, it just wasn't a popular shot back then. So to be able, I do think some people can shoot just as good as players today. But then there's other aspects to the game. Do you think that players back in the day are more skilled? Or do you think players today are more skilled?
I think it's, to me, it's a positional situation, because we talked about this off camera. I think the center position has developed way more, because it's like we're in those days. Back in those days, the center line up behind, like, under the basket and score layups. Nowadays, we're seeing stretch fours, stretch fives, guys out there shooting perimeter threes. Like we talked about, the teams like the Rockets back in when they had Harden and Westbrook had no center, right? So you're playing a lot of small ball nowadays, like with smaller lineups, and a lot of these teams don't take advantage of having smaller lineups. You still have your center out there shooting threes with smaller lineups on the court. So the skill set of the center being able to shoot threes, I think it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing because teams don't use that advantage of having a legit 7-footer, take advantage of being inside, because they'd rather them outside shooting threes, which is why the way, like, a lot of LeBron structures has a lot of his teams. Why do you think the center, the rebounds always go so lower when he's out there? Because he pulls them out to the wing and have them out there. Kevin Love, Chris Bosh out there shooting threes. So I think that's the difference between, the skill position now and then is that, like using certain advantages they have, as a good thing, but also as, like, you kind of take a certain advantages away rebounding, so yeah.
True.
But I think that the physical nature of the game has changed that a lot too. You don't see as much physicality in the modern era as you did previously, and I feel like that gives room to grow, and not just in basketball. I feel like you see this kind of across sports. Period. That change gives room for skill players to grow and for it to take more present in the game. It's more effective than it maybe has been in previous eras where physicality takes a toll. You know, it played a big role. It played a big role in the 90s. You look at like the Bad Boy Pistons era, and like physicality played a tremendous role in that success. I feel like you don't see that as much nowadays. It's a lot more skill based, and that change is what's allowed that to happen. But I definitely think skill plays.
To your point too, we talk about flopping. You know, like
right.
The flopping has gotten ridiculous. You know, to the point where like there's some rules where you pump fake the ball and you lean into them and you shoot. You're going to the line for 3. You know, like a lot of those rules like that are different. You know, and it's like,
oh yeah, and
it's one of those things that benefit the shooter.
Yeah, absolutely. And it gives room for that skill aspect to grow. I feel like you see it a lot. Hockey is a big thing like that. Hockey, you know, if you take hockey back through the years, hockey's been violent. It's been violent forever. And with the onset of these, when the NHL did their expansion in the 60s and 70s, you see an onset of teams on the West Coast that take a different approach. It's like what we're talking about. Less physical, more speed, more skill. And that has set the precedent for hockey in the modern era. It's significantly less violent and physical than it once was, and it's a lot more speed, skill. Your Connor McDavids and your superstars. They're speed players. They're not fighters. They're not hitters. That's just
right.
That's not where the game is at. The game has progressed past that, and I think that's where a lot of your professional sports are. But you see it. You see it in almost all of your superstars in professional basketball. There's buckets. It's buckets. It's points. It's assists. It's not a physical thing. It's a skill thing.
Right.
It makes a game cooler. You know, I'm for it personally. I dig it. I like the skill aspect of each sport. I think it elevates the game. That's what I'm into. I like that.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on that, man. When you start looking at every sport, it's like the Tatis. In baseball,
Tatis is a fantastic example. I absolutely agree.
And it's like he's newer age. It's exciting to watch, and he's very talented at what he does.
If you ever played the game, like the MLB The Show, when you turn it on, he does like an intro speech thing, and it's like on all the commercials, and he talks about point blank how he's looked at as like someone that's altered the face of baseball over the years, and like celebrating in the unwritten rules of baseball, and like it you're absolutely right. It furthers that skill position change. Players like Tatis and Machado, and it's a different style of play. Makes it more exciting. I absolutely agree. Tatis is a fantastic example.
Because then you even get to like Lamar Jackson and Pat Mahomes, the contrast in them. But they're both exciting.
Of yesterday.
Yeah,
for sure.
Exactly.
I want to also too point out how athletes are built a lot different. You know, like at 15, 16, Amani Bates at 16 is like 6'9". That kid, France Victor Wembanyama, I don't know how to say his name. He's 7'3" at 17 with like an 8-foot wingspan. Like that's ridiculous. Like
I'm 5'10" at 30. I'm getting shorter.
Giannis Antetokounmpo, like people aren't built like the way that they used to be. Like back in those days, we talked about way back. When you start to talk about Wilt Chamberlain, like in his days, he was the tallest dude out there. He was 7 foot in a land of 6'5"ers. And then it's like and then when we start kind of going down, Magic Johnson was an anomaly. Right? He was an anomaly back then, and now there's like 30 Magic Johnsons.
Right.
Ben Simmons is that. Like not really, but that's a bad example. But like, but you got, you know what I'm saying? Magic. Yeah, you got like the Giannis's, you got the LeBrons, you got like
even like Lonzo,
Kate Cunningham coming in, Luka Doncic, Imani, you got. Like you got all these kids, like these big 6'5", 6'8" guys that can play 1 through 5. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I think people are built so much differently. Like we haven't seen a lot of this. Like we talked about this in our group chat yesterday about football. Why did John Ross get drafted? Because of speed. Guys are running 4.1, 4.2s, right? Like that is just. Right, we've never seen it before. Like Tyreek Hill's an anomaly with the speed, so we're starting to see these athletes. DK Metcalf, bro, like is a guy that is built 6'5".
You shouldn't be that big
and run that fast. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's just we see freak of nature things in sports nowadays, and I think that's what adds to the dynamic is just that, like the way people are built, how great the athletes actually are. You know, as far as their genetics are concerned, like it's crazy.
That's true.
Absolutely.
So
that alone, I think the new era physicality, be damned, whatever. I that alone, the ridiculous caliber of athlete that you see nowadays, the new era takes the old era every time. Takes me to the cleaners. There's too much raw talent to be beaten by any physicality aspects in the game. I don't see it. I don't see I don't see a 1970s, 1980s, even 1990s. If you put Brian Dawkins up against DK Metcalf, I still think Metcalf wins that race. I still think Metcalf wins that ball. I think it's.
What about Deion Sanders? What about Deion Sanders?
Compared to some of your modern day wide receivers?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I still think some of your Tyreek Hill against Deion Sanders. Tyreek Hill's catching that ball.
What? Nah.
No. Yeah.
No. Bro. Now, if you just said Randy Moss, I could probably argue with you. Okay. I could probably see.
Right. Moss. Yeah. Moss. I don't know. I think that speed, that modern day speed, I think that wins.
Tyreek Hill hasn't looked amazing these last 3 games though, and it's
That's true. That is true.
I just think he was a bad example. Now, if you said DK Metcalf, I'm always at that size and how high he could jump. If it's a jump ball situation, and it's him versus Deion, I can see that scenario where it works in DK's favor.
Yeah,
but like he about to torch Deion? No.
Deion, yeah, I don't know.
Does he torch Jalen Ramsey? Do y'all know?
No, he gets locked, bro.
So that's what I'm saying. And I'm taking Deion over Jalen. So yeah.
That's true. All right, fine. DK is a better example. Calvin in his heyday, Megatron.
Well, Calvin, see, that's another dude. Like, Calvin, freaking nature, dude. Like,
dude. Facts. Bros was 240. And he ran a 4.3.
That's freaking nature, dude. He ain't call him Megatron for no reason. That's crazy.
No kidding.
Hey, that's a cool nickname. I had him on one of my fantasy teams, bro. And he went off for like them 4 touchdowns or something like that. I was just like, bro, when I looked at my point total, I was like, yo, what happened? It's like, so
Calvin Johnson
Megatron did Megatron like that.
Yep.
I was like, bro, then when I seen the tape, I was like, ooh, snap. You couldn't play better defense than that.
Oh, no.
That is a punishable defense for that.
And, bro, and he was in a division full of corners. Like, you had the Packers with Woodson and, like, Al Harris and them dudes. He had Peanut Tillman and the Bears back then. Like, like the Vikings had Antoine Winfield and whoever else they had. And, bro, it's just consistently there was nothing you could do with him. Like, nothing you could do with him. So it's like
it's got to hold that L at a certain point.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I'm trying to think what else.
Birdman hand rub real quick.
Yeah. I want to talk about this right here because I think it's pretty interesting. Like when you start thinking about some of the greatest franchises in all the sports. Like you start to think about like the culture that they have there. And it's like, so I was listening to a podcast and J.U.K was on there and they started asking him about like how much they meant to the city. Are you surprised that nobody is involved in that organization? From like that team, it's like when you go play for the Lakers, like you can run into Magic. You can run the God bless his soul. Kobe, when he was retired, like there was opportunities for you to meet and learn from these people. So you learn the culture within. Like when you think of football, like that Ravens culture, it's like for everybody from Ray Lewis to Ed Reed to Shannon Sharp is still he be on Undisputed bringing them up all the time to like they still are known for that spirit.
Oh,
that even though those players are long gone, and so it's like you start to how important is culture to a winning organization? Do you think?
We mentioned Calvin Johnson earlier, right? That has to tell you how bad the Lions culture is for Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson to retire at young ages. Like you'd rather just not be in the NFL.
I'm good.
And then you don't have like nothing to do with that organization. You know, so like you look at a team like the Lions, why they haven't won in so long because there's no culture there. Why do your best players leave? Because there's no culture there. They rather take less money or be other places. So it's like that's what
or at least enjoy it.
Right. Yeah. So I use them as an example of like what it's like if you have no culture. You know, like it's just, you know, like you're going to be stuck in purgatory for like the longest time. You know, so you know what I'm saying. So that to me is the organization. When you talk about that, is where, you know, and I think that's why the Knicks struggled for so long. Their owner would treat Charles Oakley like crap, kicked him out of the arena, you know, and like, and then it's like your unofficial mascot Spike Lee, you disrespected him, you know, like for so long they had to really literally tell him to get a grip and have and hire cultural people, you know, like Leon Rose and people and agents there. You know, and guys like that to bring other guys in, have Fat Joe introduce people at press conferences and stuff, because like you want some type of coolness there, because it was like before when you were just there, no, they didn't come to see you, Otis. You know what I'm saying? Nobody care about you. You know, like they didn't care about you. So it's like I think that's why culture is important. You know, because you look at certain teams with no culture, that's why they struggle for so long. Because when you disrespect your past, you're doomed to do that shit in your future, and nobody wants to see that.
That's true. That is very true.
I don't know if you guys are big baseball fans, but I'm obviously an Orioles fan as well as a Ravens fan. The Orioles organization, man, yes, I know. That's my reaction every time I turn the game on. Yikes. But you look at like Machado and some of the great players that have come through that organization that they don't want to stay because nobody cares. It's a small market team to begin with. They don't invest in the future of what the team could become with some of their prospects. They're hanging on to a couple upper tier players, better players, you know, until they do what Machado did. You know, I don't want to play here. This organization sucks. Ownership doesn't care. Ownership doesn't want to make the changes to help us win. You know, that's tough, man. That's, of course, it definitely plays a huge role in your ability to win. I watched the Orioles lose 19 straight, I think, and you can see it. You can see it at the top of the first inning. Like, we've lost 17 games in a row. What time do I get to leave? I don't want to be here. This sucks. Like, you know,
and then it's like
a huge role, man.
And then like in order to keep fans there, you like bribe them with like taco night and stuff, like $1 beer too, because you can't get fans in there any other way because you have to bribe them. You know what I'm saying?
Nobody wants to watch their
team. Like, so you have to bribe them. You got to do special things to put butts in the arena, right? Because you lack that culture. You know what I'm saying? Like you would think like if they had Cal Ripken bobblehead night and Cal Ripken's there, they're gonna show up because they love Cal Ripken. But if there's no Cal Ripken there, right, and there's no bobblehead and there's no free tacos, what else? What other reason is gonna make you go there? Not a damn thing, because you're not winning, right?
That is comedy.
Right.
Taco night. I'd rather enjoy taco night, but you are 100% correct.
Yeah, I want to reap the benefits of taco night, but I don't want it to be the only reason we got fans in the stand.
Yo, that's facts. I only pulled up for the $2 tacos, sir.
Right.
And a $1 beer.
The Aviators games, $2 beer night. It's Coors Light. You know, I don't care if they get waxed.
Right, because you're lit. You're lit. You're there for the experience. You're lit. You don't understand the scoreboard because you might get a little bit dyslexic and you might see it backwards, and then you see somebody cheering in. You know, like we've been fans.
And that stadium is dope, though. It's a beautiful stadium.
That's a beautiful stadium, man. And I know it's minor league baseball, but You can get a ticket for like $11. You just go sit there and watch baseball. If it's good, if it's bad pitching, it's good hitting. If it's bad hitting, it's good pitching. Like it's a good time. You go hang out for a couple hours. You know, I like that. But I like that minor league ballpark. So go to a major league game, especially if it's not like a competitive major league game, like right now, playoff push type deal. That's a lot of work, man. That's like going to a hockey game or an NFL game. Like it's a pain in the ass. And you can go to that minor league game. You park in the parking lot right out front. It takes 2 seconds to get in, find your seat. Your place is small. Yeah, that place is great. I love that ballpark.
Yeah, because it's like I love going to sporting events, but bro, it shouldn't cost that much for parking. It shouldn't take that long to get to my seat. Why are the lines so long at the concession stand? I don't want to even get up and spend money.
That's what I'm saying. How do I wait 45 minutes and then pay $18 for a Coors Light? What is that?
Right.
You're joking.
Like, bro, I could have got 3 12-packs with that.
Nope.
Like, that's crazy.
Facts.
It's the experience, though. You know, I like hockey. Hockey's my favorite for it because, like, I feel like when you go to an NFL game, it's such a cool experience, but like. There's certain stuff that you miss live that you see on camera that I appreciate watching on camera. And they're two different worlds. But like I feel like with hockey, you get good hockey seats and you can sit. You don't miss anything.
Rate the experience of a Golden Knights game.
It's something special, man. I would say 10 out of 10. Pretty much every game I've ever been to. I went to a sold out preseason game a few years ago. Sold out, and I sat. With a buddy of mine, I sat like 11 rows back from the glass. It was awesome. There was a fight.
That's a good seat.
And that was a preseason game. I've been to because I go to a good chunk. Me and Taylor go all the time. We go to a good chunk of Golden Knights games, and it doesn't matter if they're playing the worst team in the NHL or if they're playing like a rival. The place is sold out. It's like going to an NFL game. Like the building vibrates as people are shouting. It's an experience. Hockey's a wild one to watch live because it happens. It's so continuous and it happens so fast. You're sitting there doing nothing, and then there's horns going off. There's a goal. Hockey's something else live. But the Golden Knights specifically are something else. I've seen a lot of different teams in their home arenas over the years. There's nothing like a Golden Knights home game. It's wild for a hockey fan base. It's far louder than any other hockey arena I've ever watched a game in.
That's pretty dope though, because like me, like I said before on camera, I'm a Blackhawks fan. So like I felt like
United Center Blackhawks fans. I've always had a thing for the Blackhawks well before the Golden Knights too. They're the team, man. Their dynasty run in the early 2000s and all the dynamic superstars from Patrick Kane, Taves, they're phenomenal. I've always liked the Hawks. They're loud, but T-Mobile Arena is louder.
Yeah, no, and it's good for us as Vegas people too, because like we talk about culture, like to the initial topic, like culture with the Raiders. That was the biggest fear, is that people wasn't going to come see the Raiders or support the Raiders. And you see Allegiant Stadium on Sundays and Monday, and the first game of the season, it was rocking.
I was there.
It was crazy. Like they have home field advantage, and it feels like that. And I think that was one of the biggest fears from moving to Oakland to Vegas was nobody's going to support the Raiders. Vegas aren't going to care about them. And it's like you see the support the Golden Knights get. You see the Aces in the playoffs tonight. Yep. The Raiders. It's like Vegas. It's a good look on Vegas, and they're building a culture here. You know what I'm saying? So that's why, in the Raiders example, the culture is important, right?
Long-term Vegas people, they want sports, and they made it clear. So if you look through the NHL and through the history of the NHL. Expansion teams, they get support, but not like this. The Golden Knights played a preseason game at home last night, sold out 18,000 people at a preseason hockey game. That doesn't happen anywhere, ever. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And it happens at every single game. I just got a text from my best friend who's currently watching the Golden Knights game that Nick Hague just scored a goal, and he's all excited about it in the preseason. everybody loves that team. When they said the Raiders were coming, you knew they were going to get support with the way that they've embraced the Aces, with the way that they've embraced the Golden Knights, even the American Hockey League team.
Was it the Wranglers?
No, that used to be that was the CHL, I think. No, the Silver Knights that play at in Henderson. I've been to those games, and there's people in the stands, man. These people are watching hockey. They're supporting this team. You go to the Aviators games, like you were talking about, Ralph. It's awesome. There's people everywhere.
Las Vegas Lights too. Like I work for them. At the Las Vegas Lights, every game I've been to so far when I've gone to work, they've all been sold out. There's never not been a game where they have not sold out. And it's no, they're at Cashman.
Oh, Cashman. Yeah, Cashman.
Yeah, there's never a game that they're not sold out. And they do the promotional things too, dropping money from the sky, hot air balloon, the world's largest water balloon fight. There's a lot of stuff that they've done to try to get fans, but there's not a lot they need to do because fans just showing up in droves anyway, and they're not a very good team. They haven't won a lot of games, but fans are supporting them anyway. Yeah. They brought on Wednesdays, they bring camels because of Hump Day. So they bring a live camel outside. So they've done a lot of stuff to get people to show up, but it's just again, building culture, building something for your fans to come enjoy and say, hey, this is what we do here. You can expect your family to have fun. You can expect a lot of different things here, and that's why it's important because at the end of the day, you need the fan support. Especially coming off of a COVID situation. Yeah. You need that. Right? So, for sure.
That's true. I like it. I like where it's going. I like that people are gravitating to these teams. I've been saying for a couple of years now the Aces is going to win a championship when they get here. And they got there, but came up short. I just keep saying it, though. I'm still rooting for them. I think they're going to get it this year. Yeah. But Giannis made some interesting comments bringing up he thought that while a lot of people are arguing he's the best player in the league, he says LeBron is still the best player in the league. So it got me thinking, who are y'all's top 10 players in the NBA right now?
My man got a whole list here, bro. I don't have a list. I'm just be spitballing. I think for me, my number one right now, just starting, I would say Luka. To me, he's to me. I'm not calling him the GOAT, but I think he's the best player in the league right now, based off of just potential and everything like that. Leading a team, you got to go Giannis. You got to go. LeBron is still up there. Steph Curry. You gotta go with Steph Curry. I don't have a list, so he would probably do it more than me. So better than me. But Joel Embiid.
These lists they're not sounding too different. We got a lot of names.
Okay, for sure. Okay,
for sure.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be hard pressed to find different names like that. For me, my best player in the league right now is KD. I just personally think and me and Utah, we watched that game together, the second half together. So it's what KD did in Game 7. If he had my shoe size, we'd be having a different conversation as far as the Nets getting to the finals and things like that. So it's
and he followed it up in the Olympics too.
Right. And he took over in the Olympics too. When they needed him to take over, he was hold up, chill out, I got this. And he had Jason Tatum, Dame,
Devin Booker.
Anybody else? Yeah, Devin Booker. I was gonna say outside of that, Chris Middleton. I think I really truly believe the key to the Bucks getting that far is Chris Middleton woke up.
He was my MVP. I didn't think Giannis was MVP. I thought he was my MVP. But I'm not mad Giannis won MVP because of the last 2 games he played. But I think a lot of – and I'm not saying Giannis wouldn't have been dominant at any stretch of that series. But the key of that was they lost too many bigs at a certain point. The Suns were losing bigs. They didn't have a 4 at all. So all you got to do is post him up. And he's going to, do all that because he's the biggest dude out there. You know what I'm saying? But I think the Game 3, I think Chris Middleton had 42, something like that. And then the 2 games, and then he basically closed out the Atlanta Hawks series because Giannis didn't play in the Atlanta Hawks series. And then he was the one that was the closer in the Nets series, Game 7. Because Giannis didn't want to post up James Harden. So I have to take that into consideration. Like I don't think that was like best player in the world like status. That those finals, like the performance to me wasn't best player in the world.
Yeah.
I thought it was tremendous, but I wasn't blown away at all. Like when I was like blown away in a finals appearance, like performance, Dirk Nowitzki when he beat, I was blown away by that. I was not blown away by Giannis at all. I thought he did great things, but I wasn't blown away.
Right.
So that's why I struggle putting him there. Because he doesn't want to go to the free throw line. He doesn't want to pull up and shoot from deep. So I think he's very limited, but just because he's 6'11" with wingspan and he could get and do a bunch of awkward things, that's what puts him in that conversation.
True. Yeah, I think that, like, for me, I don't even have Giannis in, like, my top 5, honestly.
He's not in my top 5 either.
Because I'm like, the things that he is deficient at, like, I would not want, like, if I was picking players, I would not want that player. Like, if I had to rank people based off of, like, all right, you're building a team.
I feel like he's a piece you can utilize.
Oh, facts.
If you're building a top 5, like you can find room for Giannis.
Oh, absolutely.
Where he can be effective. I don't know that if you have other options, I don't know that you build a team around him, per se, if you have other options.
Right.
He's definitely in my top 5. Statistically, what he did to drive the team, especially through the Sun series to win it, I feel like that plays a role. He's definitely in my top 5. I wouldn't say he's the most dominant player in basketball as he's been awarded. I think he's definitely making the best of capitalizing on the opportunities in front of him and he's having success because he's allowed to play in this format that's kind of designed around him.
Yeah,
right.
Agreed.
It's almost like system quarterbacks, when they're successful based on what they have around them. And I think that has a lot to do with it. I think an outstanding performance, at least defensively. I think Drew Holiday looked good in the finals. I was impressed with his play. I agree that Middleton probably should have been the MVP, but I was impressed with the way Holiday performed. I thought he performed good. Early in the series, it took a little waking up, but I like the way he played.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
I agree
he was slumping earlier in that series.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell you why, though. Is because in order to make Giannis feel comfortable a lot of the times, he had to be off a ball. Giannis was on ball too much.
Yeah.
He was on ball way too much.
Yeah.
And you seen when Giannis went down, he came back out. He had his best game when Giannis didn't play.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. It's hard.
That's true.
It's very hard. Same thing with Brook Lopez. It's like it's very hard. That's why it's, to me, there's too many variables that Giannis needs to be effective,
to be successful.
Because you have to have Brook Lopez way out in Africa somewhere on the perimeter, and then you have to have your point guard off the ball so he can be on the ball. So it's like he's just lockdown defender. I would take him a million times over a defender. His offensive game I wouldn't want at all. Because there's just too much variables that
it's a very specific style.
It's just a very specific style, and I think that's what made Drew Holiday struggle, was because he had to be off ball. But when he was on ball, he was on point. But when he wasn't on ball, it was just like, okay, here's your ball, shoot the ball. That's not his game. He's not a catch and shooter. He's I'm a dissect you and make plays.
Right.
So I think that's what that was.
Right. It's hard to make a living making assists when you should be scoring buckets, like in that dissecting style of cutting.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with that. Absolutely,
Yeah, but some other names. So some other names that we didn't mention. Trae Young to me is starting to get up there. I like Trae Young. He's starting to get up there. I like Kawhi Leonard.
I was going to say, did Kawhi squeak his way onto this list? Because he's my number 1 forever.
Yeah, he should be. Yeah, I love Kawhi.
Yeah,
I think Kawhi is on there.
I might have him in my top 5.
Yep.
Yeah, he's definitely my top 5.
Top 5 for sure.
If I really would have to sit there and think about it because I definitely got KD, but I'm trying to figure out would I rank LeBron over him?
Who? Kawhi.
Kawhi.
I personally, and this is not a bias, I put Kawhi over LeBron. I'm not a LeBron fan, so I can't. My LeBron opinions are always going to be biased, so that's why I'm like, But theoretically, there's not a right or wrong answer. There's not, because we did see him on the biggest stage of them all give LeBron work.
Right.
You know, so and didn't win an MVP despite us playing against LeBron. You know, so I do take that large in consideration.
Yeah, I think for me, I definitely got KD.
But I got KD in my top. KD's in my top.
It's that number 2 spot where I start like, I don't know, man, because I kind of want to say Kawhi, but then at the same time, he had a bad game at the absolute worst moment.
But that happens, like, though.
But then it also does happen because before that he was hooping for the other 6 games.
Oh yeah.
And so, but at the same time, like I want to go Kawhi then LeBron. And
every
then after
mistake
that,
Kawhi Leonard makes, I just think about his buzzer beater for Toronto. I'm like, oh, whatever, it's fine, it's Kawhi. He's still
right.
top three.
I mean, but he hit the shot though.
Right.
Yeah, and we talk about back to Giannis. Like Giannis wanted no part. Like that year, Giannis wanted no part of Kawhi. Like he wanted no part of Jimmy Butler in the bubble. Like, like he wanted no part of KD. Like it's just that mindset of not wanting no part of these dudes is what to me limits him, right? And that's where you have to say Kawhi, because Kawhi rises to that occasion every single time.
Right.
You know, like he wants to guard. He wants to guard Luka, right?
He made Luka have to work.
Yeah, he wants to guard your best player. He wants to go back at him and score. So that's where like that assassin's mentality. And LeBron's not like that all the time either. LeBron has a passive mentality a lot of the time too. You know,
LeBron will go guard the dude that's standing in the corner. Like what, bro? Like,
right? He'll walk off the court when things don't go his way,
bro. Dog, he literally walked down the court with 4 minutes left in that game against the Suns, and then caught the ball and passed it. I've never seen this nigga so mad on the court, bro. He was so mad while on the court. He was like, "Bro, we lost, bro."
The J.R. Smith 2 thing where he was like,
"Come get me, bro."
Right. So. And too many times in his career that happens, right? Like too many times in his career that happens. Like when he was younger, him refusing not to shake Dwight Howard's hand, spoke volumes, and then he left, and then he went to Miami, took his town to South Beach. Then like he had beef with Chris Bosh, and then he left, and then he went, you know, to Cleveland, back to Cleveland. Then it was the J.R. Smith thing, and he left and went to LA. Too many times that happens in his career. To where it's just like he gets frustrated, he mentally taps out and he's done. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's thinking about next offseason, how he's gonna reconstruct the roster. So when it comes to top 5, I think about that. I'm just like, bro, like you might have that talent, but it's like your mentality of leadership is just not. It's just it's frustrating to see.
That's crazy to think. I never really put it in that perspective, like because if you take it back to like the 80s and 90s eras of basketball, like Jordan specifically, and Jordan's. I feel like it's hard to be that talented and want to make changes around you, and when they don't go your way, like you said, you just get frustrated and walk it off. At what point does the talent that the one player has outweigh or no longer outweigh building a team around that player, knowing that at any moment in the offseason they can rebuild or walk away, you know, unless they're under a long contract? At what point is that not worth it anymore, you know?
That's the story of Cleveland, bro. That's literally that happened to Cleveland twice. They had to rebuild twice because of him.
Yep.
You know, so that story of Cleveland, bro. Like story of Miami too. Like and it's not and the thing that the fact of the matter is too, when he leaves you luxury tax poor. The Lakers right now are luxury tax poor with no assets.
Yeah.
They have no first round picks till 20 whatever, right? They have no young players.
And still, they're still trading for players that are well
they are like the ARP like mascots.
Oh, dude, yes.
Like, it's like, bro, like they should have the meta. Bro, Wish, get the Metamucil patch, bro. Like,
that's what I'm saying, bro.
Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, they're if this was 2K, their Gatorade symbol would be like done. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying. Like, there's too many variables that come with him being your best player or the GOAT of your league. The variables are just too I don't like it. You know what I'm saying? That's
I agree.
Yeah.
Hey, so is Anthony Davis in your top 10?
No.
Yes, he's number 8. Yes, he is. Yeah. Despite the fact that he could get injured just walking into the arena, he's still in my top 10.
Fam, he is Mr. Glass, bro. That is Mr. Glass.
He is, man.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Talent-wise, yes, but then it's like we've seen you lead teams too. Like you let them, but it's just like you're just I don't trust you from game in and game out situation.
Right.
Because it's like I at least have seen like Joel Embiid is injured a lot, but at least he played last year with a torn meniscus. In his knee.
Torn meniscus. Yeah.
And he played though.
Hey, 35 and 15, bro.
With a torn meniscus.
On a nightly basis.
With a torn meniscus, broke like. At least you're injured a lot, but at least you try to play. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Anthony Davis has a hangnail. He don't want to play. So it's like.
Dude, Kawhi had a partial tear in his ACL and came back in the next period. Sat on the bench, took his sweater off. He was ready to get back in that thing.
Right.
Could barely walk. Yeah, I agree. When he's healthy, he's sensational. But
absolutely.
He's got to stay healthy.
Right.
You see that a lot in like your contact sport, hockey, football. You see like these dudes that when they are at 100%, they're 100% talented, and they're never at 100%.
Hockey players, though, they go out there, get their teeth busted, all their front shit be like gone, and they'll go right back on ice. Like they don't care.
Yeah, you see that, but then you look at other situations in the NHL, like lifelong situations. The Buffalo Sabres former captain until like a week ago, he's got a crushed disc in his back, and the organization doesn't want to give him the time off for rehabilitation to get spinal surgery. They expect him to play, and they just recently benched him, stripped him of his captaincy because he wants to have spine surgery. And like,
oh shit,
yeah, it's crazy, man, what they do to these people through injury, and they don't give a shit. They're big business owners. They don't care. It's wild. But you take players like that like him, even if he plays, you're not getting 100% of that guy. Not even close. Not even close. You're not getting anything near what his top ability is. That hurts your team. And I feel like, you look at that with both situations, guys that play through injury and guys like Anthony Davis that don't play at all because they're never healthy. It's a double-edged sword there. Davis is, like I said, he's profound when he's healthy.
Well, the way he played in the bubble during that playoff run was amazing. Like I was blown away.
Look, absolutely.
It was standout, right? But it's too far and few in between that, though.
Right.
Like it's just. But I love him though. Like
you need consistency in an 80+ game season. You have to have it
for sure.
And this is my 10 before we get up out of here, y'all. Kevin Durant at the 1, Kawhi at the 2.
I'm glad you found your number 2. It's awesome.
LeBron at the 3, Joel Embiid at 4, Jokic at 5, Steph at 6. I got James Harden, Dame, Luka, Giannis.
Okay.
And the only reason I don't have Luka on there a little higher, because I pretty much look at him and James as the same person or same player type shit.
Right.
Like they literally got the same skill sets, in my personal opinion.
And they utilize him the same way.
But Luka hasn't got his team out the first round, so like.
But outside of him, who else is there?
On his team?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right, 100%, bro.
You're the fact that you're taking teams 3-1 to me is a miracle on that roster.
Yeah. That's true.
Facts.
It's a miracle. Like his center is what Boban Marjanovic. What the hell is a Boban Marjanovic, bro? Like I don't know what that is.
Like that.
But it's like he is not a center. He is too nice to play center though. And I'm not saying he's nice, like nice. He's nice, like he's Chick-fil-A worker nice, bro.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, so that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know, dog. Get him some. If you get him some some playmakers, bro. Like Giannis is going out in the first round.
Oh, facts. I feel you on that. But I'm happy where the NBA is at. I'm happy that it's getting back to it, man. Football, because man,
media day yesterday. We're so close to basketball season, bro.
Oh, facts. Yes, facts. And I'm excited for my Bulls, man. They look good on paper. Yep. I think the key for them is going to be their bench because we got Kobe, Caruso, and then we just signed Alize. I think it's Alize Johnson.
Oh yeah,
from the Nets, and he had a 2020 game last season. So we'll see if he can bottle some of that and bring that off the bench, bro.
First of all, I see what you did there. I see what you did there. His name is Alize. You said bottle that. I see what you did there.
So
that play on words was amazing.
Hey, he was there with me. But thank you all for being on here, fellas. Man, it was definitely a pleasure. I enjoyed this.
Thank you for having us. Absolutely. Awesome.
But get in one more time, y'all socials, y'all where they can catch y'all at, new episodes, what podcast or network you guys rocking with.
All right. Well, for me, my name down below. You catch me on East West Football Network. Find us on Facebook. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Instagram. All that. You know what I'm saying? And my show is the Fantasy Football GMs on Tuesday. And that's it.
You can find me on Twitter, on Facebook. My podcast, On the Board Sports Talk. You can find us on Twitter at On the Board SPOR1. We're on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Music, Breaker. You can pretty much anywhere you get your podcast, you can find us. And Ralph, again, thank you, man. Awesome time. Thank you so much for having us.
Hey, always a pleasure, man. I can't wait to come be on yours.
Oh, dude, ASAP, absolutely.
Yeah.
This season, absolutely.
Most definitely. But make sure y'all catch us on YouTube, as well as Facebook. I will actually, this will be the first episode in a minute. I'll put on, I'm start breaking down into segments, put them on IGTV.
Awesome.
And check us on Facebook and YouTube, the He Say, She Say channel. You'll be able to catch this sports podcast as well as my general topics podcast. Look us up on Instagram at J.U.K. Sports Show. Catch me on Instagram as well at KYNGRALPH as well as TikTok. Thank you all for watching. Peace out.